Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast with me. Got a good session today. I'm going to be talking about DHS and diving into how do we look at the essential services out there. I think we're all kind of watching what's going on within the federal market. Hopefully that's why you're joining the training today. But in the federal market, things just keep changing. It's funny. I was talking with somebody just yesterday after my live where I was saying what was done yesterday is not going to be what's done today or tomorrow. I mean, it is changing massively. And it's not just the contracts, but it's also our sales approach, our process that we follow in there. There's going to be some changes in that. Anything we used to rely on in the past, that changes. And so our tactics and sales is a process full of tactics, right? Our tactics are going to change right along with that. The problem is it didn't just change and here's the new way. It is still changing. And so we just kind of ride this roller coaster for a little bit and see what's going on. We can adapt day by day as we go forward, but pretty soon, 6 months, 12 months, we'll have a whole new way of really locking down how to have success in the federal market. So have confidence in that as you move forward. Okay, so appreciate you engaging in the chat. Make sure you do that. Let us know who you are. Tell us your core competency, 2 or 3 key words, and maybe tell us where you're coming in from, city, state. This is your community. The chat is your community. I come back afterwards and I try to engage. I definitely try to answer any questions people might have. But it's a chance for you to find others who you might want to team up with and make part of your own network as you go forward. Or a network is basically, and I got to do a picture on this someday, but a network is just a series of circles that keep coming in, and the tighter inside the circle, the more you're transferring transferring, I guess, or something. I don't know what, I'm missing my word. Lately, I've been missing words, but coming in from the outer circles, you have really undefined network. It's just people you know from a conference or whatever. And then as you get in, it starts becoming relationships. And then in the inner circle is strategic relationships. And that all starts with engaging in chat, places like this. Okay, I just wanted to start off, and if you're going to be with me for all 4 days of the training, you'll see some similarity of what I say because I'm talking about different agencies, and I'll go into the specifics, but there are some commonalities across the board, and some people come into my trainings on different days. But one thing is really obvious to me out there, right, is DOGE is hammering everybody. It's got no rules. I was just listening to an Air Force veteran who was fired for basically non-performance or something like that after getting exceeds expectation kind of ratings, right? Everybody's getting fired, and they're getting fired in groups, not necessarily, with a sniper rifle or something. It's more like a shotgun approach or a howitzer approach. And so DOGE is hammering everybody out there. The federal employees are getting fired. I really think we're going to end up seeing hundreds of thousands of people fired from the federal government or laid off from the federal government. And then you've got small and large firms. We're losing contracts out there left and right. DOGE likes to take, it's one thing to take credit, right? It's another to be proud of the misery you're causing. So I think they need to find a balance in there, but they are hammering contracts left and right. And this is really important for us to pay attention to. Just this past week, GSA came out and they started targeting large businesses, these huge consulting contracts that folks like GDIT or Deloitte, et cetera, have, and to the tune of $65 million or $1 billion in 2025. Now, those big firms are showing up to the government and trying to renegotiate some of those contracts to the government's advantage. But just right out of the gate, they're like, GSA DOGE is like, hey, we're going to cut these contracts out. And just today, I heard from I follow an organization called Orange Slices. They're a mashup group of information, a lot of good information in there. It's kind of like they go out to the whole internet and put it all together, which is pretty cool. And this has been around forever. I actually follow another one called Early Bird, which it's a way to mash up news so I can see it very fast. But this one caught my eye about OPM. They're looking at, they spent a budget of $370 million a year on IT. And they're looking at those contracts thinking they can cut it by 80%. That's staggering, right? 250 million or so, more than 250 million in contract value. But that is staggering, but that is also our reality. And that's kind of what we're diving into today. So what I'm going to be sharing with you today is exactly what I'm sharing with my customers and what I talk about when I coach with people. I did have a book here. I want you to go read it. If you haven't read this book, go buy it, pick it up. You could literally read it in 2 hours, depending on how fast you read, 1 to 3 hours, right? But it's called Who Moved My Cheese? And it really, hopefully, will help you deal with what's going on, because our cheese are the government contracts that we go after, and somebody has moved those. And first thing we need to do is go process how we feel about it and go, I can't believe that. And then pretty soon we got to get going and go find the cheese. And that's the idea behind this book. And so go find that book. My all-time favorite business book is 7 Habits for Highly Effective People. But this book is my, let's call it a book of the month favorite. Okay, in today's training, I'm going to cover down on making your company essential to DHS. That's kind of my goal here, is to help you understand what is essential and what can you do to try to, be DOGE proof is what I call it. And so that's the title of this is DOGE proofing your company as you look at DHS. I'm going to break up today's training into 3 sections. First, I want to talk about what is essential at DHS. And essential is, in other words, mission critical, right? These are mission critical functions within an agency. And today I'll be talking about DHSs. Then I'll talk about, if you have current contracts, how can you protect those contracts in 2025 against this DOGE wave that's coming, right? They've got a pretty predictable pattern. And so I'll give you guidance on how to fight that pattern if it is legitimate, right? I'm not trying to get you to sit there and hide from DOGE. I'm trying to get you to realize what DOGE is doing, what the new rules are, and how to fight against those or play the game by those rules for the moment. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is steps you can take to start looking for opportunities that are essential opportunities within an agency, and maybe even get you to think about how to create ideas yourself. So if that sounds good, just put I'm essential in the chat. I saw somebody say the other day about how people sometimes are, it's like we're being told we're not essential by DOGE and the Trump administration, et cetera, but we're very essential, especially government contractors, right? We're a value part of that mission activity that agencies go through. So put I'm essential into the chat. Let's start this off with a positive look. So I only got 30 minutes and I go pretty fast, but you can always come back. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. I'm co-founder of GovCon in a Box, and I want to welcome you to my federal sales training, where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years in the federal market after I got out of the Army as a government contractor. And since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we have repeatable, predictable success. This is what I want for you. Right now, we got kind of a lot of things going on within the federal market. We just need to figure out that process again. We need to refine that process based on this new reality that's in front of us. But once we do that, we will have repeatable, predictable success. If you haven't connected with me on LinkedIn, definitely do that. Follow me, connect with me if you want. If you don't know this, you follow a person if you're just tracking my content. If you actually put out content yourself, then connecting with me makes sense, so that you're kind of pushing your content to me and I see it. I don't care either way. Happy to have connections, but if you send me a connection request, make sure you just say, hey, I saw you on the training. Something that tells me you're not like somebody I should not connect with. And then if you haven't already subscribed to the Government Contracting Success newsletter, do that. It's the largest government contracting newsletter in LinkedIn by far, and it grows at twice the pace of others because we keep putting out really good content that you can use as you move forward in setting your strategy and your day-to-day activities within the federal market. Go check that one out. That one, I just did another article yesterday, and it was talking about how to deal with all these cuts that are happening in the federal government. Last thing is, tomorrow's training is on the VA. So I'm doing training all week on how do you be essential for a different department. Yesterday was the Army, today's DHS, tomorrow's VA, and then HHS, and ending with Air Force. Let's talk about, come on. I can't believe I reused the slide and I left Army in there. And I did such a good job cleaning up. But you'll forgive me because this is hard free work here. Let's start with what is essential and what's non-essential. This is really important for you to understand if you're not tracking on this. inside the government, a federal agency like DHS or a federal department like DHS, there's certain things that they must do. This is essential or mission critical work. That means they must do this even if the budget is being reduced or it's shut off completely, and the federal employees and contractors come in and continue to do the work without pay. That's how you know it's essential. It's at that level. And non-essential are these things that are more support type activity. And you can see the difference of this, especially with DHS. You can go onto their website and they've got documents, not just at the headquarter level, but also at the different components or agency level, like FEMA, Secret Service, Coast Guard, et cetera. When you look at those agencies on the website, they have a document that talks about, in fact, let me show you. This document here, this is the Homeland Security one. And in here, they talk about the procedures relating to a lapse of appropriation. What that means is if the budget's cut, if Congress can't pass the budget, then what do we do? And so inside of this document, when you come down, you'll start seeing guidance. And let me scoot this up a little bit. You'll see them describe exempt and unexempt people. You'll see them begin to break it up in here. Let me see if I scroll a little bit more. So right here, you can see the different agencies, or they call them components in DHS. But you can come in and read this document yourself. Actually, I'll try to drop this in the chat, but I'm not sure who it's going to reach. And then I can do it afterwards. Let me just put it down and see if somebody can get that. So I just put it in. If somebody gets it, do me a favor, repost it in, because I think it only shows up for like LinkedIn or Twitter or YouTube, but not all of you guys. Anyways, if you go in and look at those documents, you can find out truly what's essential and not essential. This is a really good place to go. I also mentioned here that this happens in the commercial level. Even like with my organization, there's certain things I need to pay for. I don't need Adobe Acrobat or Adobe Creative Cloud that I'm paying for. That's a non-essential activity in my organization. I do need this person's salary, for example, right? And so even commercial organizations, they take their spending and they have it broken into different levels. So let's talk about DHS and their essential function areas. So DHS exists to ensure the safety and security of the nation. One of the things I like about doing this training exercise is I get to get these one-liners from the Army about fighting and winning the nation's war. DHS, ensuring the safety and security of the nation, right? And I get to do this again tomorrow with VA and HHS and Air Force. This is what I talk about in my first step to success in the federal process is research. Research and understand an agency better than it understands it itself. Because you want to know the whole agency, but most people in an agency, they just know their job. Like that's the world. They know their component maybe, but you're looking across the board. So when you think about exists to ensure the safety and security of the nation, what does that mean? I put it into 6 essential areas or 6 mission critical areas for DHS. And by the way, if you see one of these and you go, hey, that's me, put that in. Let us know. Hey, thanks for resharing that link, Andy, and others. Okay, so the first one that's an essential piece of work for the government or essential strategic area are border security and custom enforcement, right? This is huge, and this should be no surprise to if you've been paying attention to President Trump as he's coming in and the administration's priorities. This has been clear. He ran on border security, et cetera, right? And so border security and custom enforcement, do you help in there? Immigration enforcement of public safety threats. And so this isn't just about immigration going back and forth, but it's also about, the activity around gangs and crime happening within the country, things like that. So this could tie all sorts of places. The reason I lay that out is I'm thinking to myself, well, if you do training, you should be doing training related to how to identify gangbangers or something. My twin brother's a cop, and he used to basically have to deal with gangs, and he could memorize the tags that were on a wall. Well, maybe you've got an AI play, or maybe you've got a training play on all these new officers that are in DHS on how to do their job. Don't train on how to do something that is non-essential. If you shift over that capability you have to the mission priority, then you're able to do it. I'm getting ahead of myself because those are future slides. But number 3, counterterrorism and aviation security. This one is huge, right? The whole reason DHS got shaped or put in place was right after 9/11. They brought these agencies together, these components that said, we need to focus on the safety and security of the nation. And so counterterrorism was really at the heart of the foundation of DHS. Disaster response and emergency management, number 4. So that's FEMA. You can think about this as, even if we don't have money, FEMA still has to go in and deal with natural disasters. Now, even in that case, there's non-essential work. For example, rebuilding homes or some of that stuff, that becomes non-essential. The essential part is making sure people are safe. So, if they're still dealing with a flood or rubble or whatever, in those emergencies, DHS will be there. Number 5, maritime security and safety. This is Coast Guard. So think about, it's really interesting when we think about border protection. We're thinking about maybe Canada or Mexico or the roads that are coming in. But I'm a sailor. The Coast Guard is the waterway in protecting the security out there. And they also do drug enforcement, all these other things. Number 6 is cybersecurity and infrastructure protection. So this is huge across the board. And what I want you to do is to look at these ones and really go, well, how much did I know them? How much is what I'm doing aligned to that? And that brings me to the next slide of, if you have contracts, how can you protect those contracts against DOGE coming in and just tearing it apart? Oh, really quickly, sorry. I wanted to share a slide of non-essential work that DHS, they describe it themselves. So I went through that document and I was trying to pull out the high level areas that I saw. But policy, planning, and admin support. This is something that is non-essential. It doesn't have to be done in order to secure the nation, right? There's a to be fair, right? When we look at that and I have a contract, I can go, yeah, that's not really essential. I mean, it's essential to me and the people doing it, but it's not essential to the mission of DHS. Research and development, or similarly pilot programs that are out there. Think innovation across the board. Those are non-essential. Those are certainly wanted and we need them for the future, but they're not immediately necessary. Training, hiring, and exercises. So exercises might be where DHS is going out to local law enforcement. Or right here where I'm at, Maryland, DC, and Virginia, they come together and they do joint exercises about what happens if a nuclear bomb hits, what happens if there's a hurricane that hits, things like that. Well, those things are non-essential. They're not immediate urgent. And you can read these other ones, grant programs and community programs. So those are out in you should be hearing about people complaining about those funds being cut. And you can see they're being cut because the government designates them as non-essential. Upgrades, investments, non-urgent maintenance, whether it's their buildings or their IT infrastructure, et cetera, all that stuff gets put on hold. And then regulatory and public-facing services. I put one example in here is E-Verify. For example, Graham, I know, does some staffing, and whenever they hire somebody, they run them through E-Verify. Well, that goes away. That's not an essential task that the government needs to do to ensure the safety, right? It's something they provide, but it's not essential. So these are really important to understand the difference between essential and non-essential. Let's talk about how to protect your current contracts against DOGE. By the way, if I can pause for 1 second, and I appreciate you putting that in there, can you tell me what you sell? Like, I'm looking at Brett, and Brett Foster, he just happens to be right there. I'm tracking on him. But say I sell this to these people. Don't write a whole big sentence. Just, I sell cybersecurity to federal agencies. Just use 1, 2, or 3 words in that middle. I sell this to federal agencies. Or in Brett's case, I think he kind of supports industry, right? But put whatever you put. Let us know what you sell. This is a networking chance for you to tell more than just the people who know you. Like, I have 37,000 followers. When you put a comment in, it goes out to many of them, not all of them, right? But it goes out to way more than your own connections because now it's going out there. Let us know what you sell. I want to see that. And I want other people to see what you sell. I want you to come in here and brag about yourself, but do it in a way that's easy to see, like Sandra, cybersecurity and infrastructure protection. Well, she's saying that she's aligning to that mission critical area, I'm assuming. Okay, so I never take questions, but let me take one, because what about construction and facilities maintenance? This is a really interesting one. For the most part, it all goes on hold. It's not essential. What you want to do, and what I'm about to talk about here, is you want to go figure out, is any of it actually essential? Can you get in there and designate it? But for example, if you look at a building, I worked in the White House. One of my contracts was in the White House and the old executive building, which had like 4 or 6 floors, whatever it was. And I remember when they would shut down bathrooms on many floors. It'd be like one men's and one woman's, and they'd be on different floors or something. And that was it. And so, you want to have those conversations. And I'll talk to you about that. That person asked about construction facility. Even if you don't have a contract, you can still follow this advice on this slide. First thing is make sure you do what I was just suggesting is align your tasks to DHS's mission priorities, what they call strategic missions, right? So it's funny. It's like I wish all these agencies would get together with one glossary of terms, but DHS calls them strategic missions. This is FEMA's strategic mission. This is the Secret Service's strategic mission. Figure out what tasks are on your contract and align those to those mission priorities that I said. And then go into DHS, or if you're in ICE or something, go into their strategic plan and look further at their strategic goals, the priorities that are listed at the individual agency level. The second thing is make sure you tie your contract back to keeping the nation safe. I think about that. Like if I had a contract that I was advising you on, I would look at that thing, and even if I was cleaning toilets, it wouldn't matter to me. I would figure out how to begin to tie that back to keeping the nation safe. How on earth can the border protection people go out if they're having trouble with their stomach because they're not getting to the restroom because there's no restrooms or something, right? And somebody might go, oh, you could use a porta john. It's like, well, you're still doing facility. You're still cleaning something. And so tie your contract, this contract you have, back to the keeping the nation safe. The third one, use mission critical language anywhere you see it. Like I talked about the critical areas in the first slide. If you go into the agency, look at their strategic plans. That's the place that you begin to find their language and how they describe mission critical areas. They don't talk about construction for the most part. And that's a kind of a loaded question, statement, but they don't talk about non-essential things too much in a strategic plan. Inside of a strategic plan, they're looking out. One other tip, President Trump or Elon Musk sent out an email saying, hey, tell me 5 things you did last week. Now, I like that idea. I just think what he's doing is brutal, but I like that idea from tell me 5 things you did yesterday. But you need to sit there and be prepared for that question to come to you. Every employee on a contract, if you've got a contract now, should be able to answer in a way that, again, kind of aligns back to the mission. What are 5 things you did last week? I'm not trying to sit there and rationalize or anything for Elon Musk or DOGE, et cetera. I'm just saying that's how the game is being played. Make sure you're aware of the rules and you play it. Document why your contract's essential, and do this with the people who are working with you, the contracting officer, the core, the program office, your subcontractors, and your employees. Talk to them all and say, hey, let's DOGE proof this contract. Let's demonstrate why it's essential. Let's make sure every single email or weekly or monthly report that we do is screaming, I'm essential, right? You need to do that yourself if you want to keep that contract. The last thing I put here is role playing. If you really want to keep your contract, and I'm a sales guy, I've been doing this a long time, and so I role play sales. In this case, what I would recommend you do is role play somebody in your company acts like you're from DOGE, and you're coming in and you're looking at the contract. You're like, well, I think we should get rid of this, and I'm coming in predisposed to getting rid of it, and you need to be critical of the contract. And your colleagues all need to defend it and get stronger at defending it. But you do that internally among friends, even with your subcontractors, et cetera. But DOGE proof this by role playing what DOGE might say to you. Don't let them just come along. Like you, in my opinion, I would want to get on the radar as essential rather than try to hide behind a tree and hope a bullet doesn't come around and hit me. I'm mixing my metaphors there, but hopefully you get my point. Okay, I read Jay's. Mission critical language, keep hydrated. Here's some steps you can take to find opportunities. First one, this kind of goes back to what I was saying. That first slide where I was talking about the 6 mission critical areas or essential areas for DHS. Map what you sell, your services, products, map those to the critical functions, the strategic mission areas that DHS defines. Be essential. Make sure your products and your services are essential. If you're not quite sure, then create a new one. I gave an example yesterday. I'm saying here, everybody should have an AI offer. I gave an example of where you should go in and where I talked about a guy going in and who used to do AI over here in something unrelated, but in the Army, he was able to say, hey, I can use AI to teach people how to throw grenades better. And so the grenades, go that way instead of this way or something. Well, you could do this with flooring. If you're an elevator service company, you could look at your what goes on in elevator services and bring an AI play in. And not only could you kind of save the contracts you might have, but now you can go across the board to all agencies to be able to say to them, hey, we've got an AI play that'll, and you don't use the word play, but we've got an AI play that'll save the life of the elevators or extend the life of the elevators by 30%. It'll cut costs by this much. Come up with ideas on your own. I've been doing this left and right with some of our customers, and the idea is really quick, and then you have the expertise. You can find an AI person out there. I bet you there's AI people in here today who would love to team up with you to kind of go after projects. Number 2, align mission critical functions. When you look at those 6 that I say, figure out which agency or component within DHS you want to work with. Don't go after all of them, right? Go look at one and go, you know what, we best fit in the disaster area. Let's go after FEMA. Number 3, update your marketing assets. And this is something a lot of us have been saying out there is when I talk about mission critical and essential, et cetera, and you start learning that language, weave that language into your profile. My friend Juliet put out a post yesterday, and maybe somebody can tag her in the chat for everybody, but she put out a post with 100 words. She says, get rid of these words, and diversity being one of them. So get rid of those type of words that are bad to DOGE and weave in essential language or language that talks on DHS's essential mission. Number 4, so I talk about my 7-step process for federal revenue success. It's research, targeting, outreach, lead to relationships, opportunities, proposals, and sales, right? And so I already told you about research, which is up above. Now I'm talking about targeting in bullet number 4 here, where I say identify 200 people within DHS, in particular, like within FEMA, if that was our example. Within FEMA, find 200 people. And you easily could do this. There's like 250,000 people who work at DHS. And when I say find 200 people, it's not just government employees. It's contractors who are already winning in there. But find them and get in and start having conversations. You want to, and moving on to step 5, you want to schedule an intro call with them or some sort of call where you can get in there and start having a conversation. But make sure you come in very prepared. You already know about their missionaries. You can come in saying, hey, I was looking at the strategic plan and we really aligned to this. Can I talk to you about some ideas? And now you've got it going. That's what I mean by very prepared. Okay, so I'm just running out of time. We end at 12:30, and I just want to leave you with 3 things to remember. The first thing is know what DHS means when they say essential or strategic missions, right? Mission critical. Know what they mean at the DHS level and then at the FEMA level or the component agency level. The second thing is across the board, speak their language. Look at your website and go, are we weaving in that language? And this is why it's really important, especially for small companies under 20 million. You should be trying your hardest to target one department. That's my opinion. Target and you just get really, really good because you could be doing 20 million at any one of these major departments like VA or DHS, HHS, DOD, et cetera. All right. And the last one is going to that 7-step process, 10x your efforts, 10x your research to understand the essential work that they do, 10x your targeting and your outreach and identifying opportunities, et cetera, and make sure those are opportunities that really align to what you sell. All right. Hope you found the training valuable. I'll be here again tomorrow talking about the VA and what's essential to them. I found all sorts of good stuff in there. Unfortunately, I also found articles talking about how many contracts are being canceled, but that can help us understand what they're thinking. If you haven't checked out your federal visibility score, it's free. Go check it out on govconinAbox.com. And if you're looking to work with us in any kind of coaching way, we work with companies that are 2 million plus. I do this training for free every day because I know there's a lot of people who can't afford to work with us. And so I bring you literally what I do with my coaching customers. So come back free for these trainings every single day. Just remember, as you head into today and the week, government contracting, it's not a secret. It's just a process. Part of the process is ending on time. I'm out of time. I will see you the next time. Hey, that was 3 times.